Hello guys, we are back from yesterday. Today we're going to do describe an activity as today's lesson. So, again, we're going to basically do the same thing as we did like a few lessons ago, but it's going to be themed differently around every single topic. So this time it's about describing an activity. All right. So, let's get to it. Now, how would you describe an activity here? As you can see, usually you just, as you can see with these questions, they usually want you to do what it is and basically why you do the activity. And also maybe sometime, and yeah, so basically that's the main two parts, but there are also some other questions you could ask. But let's go into the activity. So, first of all, you need to tell them how you learned it or knew about it. So, there's two ways you could basically answer this. Actually, a few different ways, but like, yeah, mostly I would say two ways. The first way is from directly from somebody, or directly from somebody or something. So this is where, for example, you learned from a teacher. Okay, maybe you learned how to to ride a bicycle from your parents, or maybe you learned how to play a musical instrument personally by a music teacher. Maybe, who knows? The next thing is since YouTube has been really popular, you could actually use YouTube as a way to learn. So you could say you learned how to do video editing, by you learn editing by watching YouTube videos, or you could do things, or basically anything nowadays. But yeah, that is a way you could the way you could use YouTube. Um. Anyways, let's continue. So yeah, you those are the two. Those are basically almost the same as I treat YouTube tutorials as more of like a one-on-one session, just pre-recorded. And now finally, you learned it from a class. So for example, let's take the math thing again. You could learn math for. Oh no, I haven't said something about math. Sorry. You could learn math from your class, or you could have learned a musical instrument in a class. Classes are pretty more common for things that are popular in Vietnam. So like musical instruments, maybe even IELTS itself. Yeah, things like that. So yeah, that is what you would do. Either you say that you learned it from someone or a YouTube video, or you learned it from class. Alright, so now, the next question they would want you to answer is where and when and who you would do it with. So these three are pretty interchangeable, but and it really depends on the context of the question. So you really need to see what the question is before you answer this part, because it really depends on each of them. Because if an activity is meant to be solo, like you do it yourself, and then somebody else does, and then you try to answer who you do it with. That just doesn't make sense. Now does it? So for example, like if you're going on a bicycle race by yourself, of course you don't want to describe who you do it with. Um, now this is an example of an activity you like doing. I usually, for example, they wrote swimming. Yeah. Um, one important word I would say here is 9 to 5 because even though you guys do not have a job, the word is still pretty useful to say that you're unemployed. I do not have a 9 to 5, and it's a pretty good word to learn. So I would like to make a bit of like space for that word. Anyways, let's continue. Now, um, so as you can see here, we have some examples here. Would would anybody like to answer when, where, and who you do it with for one of these questions for me? Anyone? Anybody like to answer that question for me?
Wait, what are we doing? Like, what question is that?
Um, you can answer any of these, but you need to answer when, where, and who you do it with.
Can we have 1 minute preparation time?
Yeah, sure. I'll give you guys a minute, so give me some time. So I'll give you guys some time, basically. All right. Would anybody like to answer? I think it's already been a minute.
Okay, so can I answer?
Yeah, sure.
Um, where describe an activity. Oh wait, you recently took part in?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so an activity that I recently took part in is playing badminton. So every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday, I wake up at 5:30 and I start my badminton class from 6 a.m. to 7:30. And I have that class with my friend, so um it's only like a small class, and I really enjoy badminton because it helps me unwind after days of studying. And I think that this sport is very fun and engaging. And since it's been a very long time, before I've taken up like a new sport, I think that uh badminton is like a breath of fresh air for me. And I would definitely recommend it to any other people or my other friends.
All right. Yeah, that's a pretty decent answer. You did describe who you did it with. You did describe the action itself. You also did why you did it, because it was a while since you did sports, and it was yeah, a way to unwind. Pretty good first paragraph. I would say there isn't anything I would add to it, but yeah, very very decent. Nice job. Um, so yeah, I'll be continuing on. Um, so after we talk about the W's, then you start to describe the activity. So what do I mean by this? You need to basically tell them how you do this activity. So like, well, for example, if I were doing a bicycle, then I would say I would push some pedals on a bike and it would move or something like that. You don't need to say to you need to describe it so complex, but just try to give them like a just try to give them like some information about it. Think of them as like somebody who hasn't heard of it before, and you need to try to describe them to them so that they can understand the type of sport that you're doing. So yeah, um, you need to yeah, that's basically what you would do when we mean by describe this activity of it. Just a simple explanation. Now, now you need to now we continue on to the second part. So all right, you need all right. So of course, as usual, you need to give ideas. You need to give a few reasons you like it or some benefits that you could have. So yeah, tell them any benefits you have. So for example, for yoga, as you can see, they described meditate the fact that you could regulate your breathing, and it also helps you relax, or it's that it helps you work on all parts of training, etc. So there's just basically a lot of ways, but all in all, you need two main points. That is the main thing that I want you to take out from today's class, which is you need two main points. So yeah, that is pretty much it. Yeah. So continuing on. Let's look. So, yeah, this is really it for this type of describing an activity. There isn't much, mainly because it is a pretty simple one. There isn't much you can like mess up compared to the other ones, as it is something that you might have already done before, and also it's just pretty simple in its nature. So, yeah, the final one again is again is well just give out your feelings and the future. Uh, so yeah, unlike other ones, since you never talked about your feelings, you could actually talk about it in this part. But in addition, you should also talk about the future. But in some cases, you might not have enough time for that, so that might be a problem. But again, as I've already said before, time limits. If you pass the time limit, that is a good sign to the examiner. It shows the examiner that you are if you that you or actually you have more things to say and that you would say all of it if you had more time. So yeah, let's continue. Finally, to describe a place. Oh yeah, I would like to remind you guys that if possible, try to explain everything in IELTS Part 2 speaking as a story. Just imagine it as a story. All right? Yeah. All right. Good. Anyways, so now you need to describe, well, for example, a place you'd like to go, a place you'd like to go. So basically anything that they would ask you. So usually it would be a pretty large place, either that or it asks the fact that this place is pretty small, so like a house, maybe an indoor space, basically. So either indoor space, a home type thing, or it's an outdoor space and it's a really huge space. It really depends on what they're asking for. So yeah, now let's go to describe a place. So the first part is you need to introduce. First you need to of course tell them the location and the size, the physical appearance, the life in that place, and what's special about it. And then you say why you do there and what you enjoy, and then you get a conclusion. Now let's continue into our part. So first of all, of course, as usual, you need to introduce that as normal. So yeah. Oh, the Nang mentioned. So yeah, they talked about the Nang here, or maybe a garden in the lab. So yeah, a place you like to visit is a more open question. So you could basically say anything as long as you have like enough information on it, and while the others are kind of self-explanatory. So now, let's go to the way you answer it. Location and size. What do I mean by this? First of all, location and size are relative, okay? Location and size do not mean exact dimensions, or you do not need to say the exact address. Just say that it's in some direction of something close or a huge landmark. So for example, if your park is close to a really huge apartment complex, say that. Tell them that my park is next to the north or to the south or to the east to the west of that said place. So yeah, or you just need to say it's close. That's also okay. But yeah, keep it relative. Do not keep it too complex. Now, for size, you just need to say it's a really large or spacious place, or it's not. Either way, you can try to make comparisons, but don't make it too specific. But yeah, but however, the examiner should have enough of an idea once you say it is a large, spacious place, anyways. So it's not worth it to actually make some things like that. So yeah. Anyways, um, let's continue to how the place looks like. So, in this case, you need to describe the what the place looks like, and to basically the outside. So now, um, For example, if we did describe a place you'd like to visit, it would say, oh, the landscape in Da Nang is kind of picturesque and tranquil. Simply picturesque is like, if I'm correct, it's like something that would be pretty good for pictures. I'm not probably sure, but like I don't use these words that much. But tranquil is peaceful, why not relax? Those should be obvious. Yeah. All right. So basically, just tell them the place, tell them what it is about. Oh yeah, there are also some pretty good words you for describing the location. Location, you should probably also describe relative to the city it's in, if you know where it is, or is it close to your home? Maybe. Yeah, I'd be fine with that. Anyways, back to how the place looks like. Tell them the building. Describe them the building, or describe them the park. Tell them what's in the park, what's in the building, what would you see normally if you came into the building, for example. So, for example, if you're talking about park, you would probably see normal people exercising and maybe some children having fun in the park. Yeah, that would be a quick way of describing. So, basically, use your imagination if you haven't seen the place before. If you have, remember what you saw there. It probably would be useful. So yeah, just try to describe the general vibe and everything there. That's how we mean how the place looks like. Now, again, you could also probably describe it as a size here, but again, it's probably a repeat of what we did last time. But if you want, you can use this to describe the size of the actual building, and this as the spacious, so how much space it has. So yeah. Anyways, now this applies to questions that ask you about cities or countrysides. This does not apply if they're asking about a specific place like a park or a musical or a concert or a restaurant. Only do this if they ask you about a living space. So in this case, usually it will only be applied for city and countrysides. Okay, the city and countrysides are the ones that you would count this in. Now, what would I do here? Now, just tell them what you would do in your daily life. Maybe say that, well, it could, maybe say that in the countryside it is probably peaceful, and for the city you may say it's a fast-paced life. So it's probably a bit different for each person, but again, try to think about it and try to say how the life is. This is what your opinion is, so this might not be 100% accurate. However, again, accuracy isn't a thing cause in IELTS speaking, as long as it's not outrageous, as they can't mark you on how right or wrong you are with your opinions. They can only mark you with how right or wrong you give the opinions out. So yeah, so a sense of tranquility and peace, that is a pretty good one as well. I would probably use that. Yeah. Now, most places that are famous have a reason to be famous. For example, Hanoi is the capital of Vietnam. Hue used to be the used to be the capital. Now it's changed to Hanoi. Or Saigon, which is a pretty techy and more modern version of more modern compared to every single other city or province in Vietnam, or maybe Da Nang with like its beaches and stuff, maybe. So yeah, basically, you need to tell them what this place is special for. So tell if so let's bring back the Hanoi thing. As I've said, it's the capital, which is already huge, and it's mostly known for its pho. And yeah, you would say something like that, and you would also say that Hanoi is also known for its air pollution. Yes, it is famous. It is kind of famous, but again, that is only applicable if you're trying to compare. But yeah, you could try to describe it negatively as well, since technically some people would go there to experience the air pollution. But yeah, there are many different kinds of examples that you could describe what is it famous for. As long as it is a valid reason, I believe that it is okay. For example, and then here we have Miguang. We also have the Dragon Bridge, Garam, and yeah, we have a lot of other famous bridges that no other city would have. So yeah, Or let's say a beautiful garden, you could say, well, the lac is known for the flowers. Or if you're talking about your home, then just say, oh, the balcony is actually a special place. So yeah, as long as you tell them why is it special or why is it famous. In cities, you say why it's famous. In houses, why is it special? Or in like parks, etc. Well, no, in houses, more personal spaces, tell them why it's special. In less personal spaces, tell them why is it famous. Tell them it has a reputation for something, or say it's just it has a place in your heart or something like that. Really simple. Now, the second part, as usual, you need to tell them what to do. You need to give them some points. Now, this is actually these points are actually a bit different because in actuality, you tell them what they do. So think of yourself as a tour guide. If you were a tour guide for, let's say, Da Nang, what would you tell them to do? Would anybody like to answer this? If you were a tour guide in Da Nang, which I believe, wait, no, I'm not sure if some of you guys
Um,
live in there. If
I
you're a tour guide in your hometown, let's say, what would you tell them to do? Yes.
like if I was a tour guide in my hometown, I guess I would tell the tourists to do like a lot of activities. Like there are a wide range of activities you can do in Da Nang. For example, you can go to Bana Hill to experience and take pictures of the dragon of the Golden Bridge because it's like it's one of the most beautiful bridges in the world. Or you could take pictures with the iconic Dragon Bridge. Other than that, you can go to a lot of beautiful beaches in Da Nang, like Mikhe Beach, and go hiking in Ngũ or in go hiking in like Hansong Mountains, I think. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, those are pretty simple ideas that you could say. Just describe about about the hills, the Golden Bridge, and Guansong. Some basic things a tour guide would probably say if somebody came to Da Nang. So yeah, as simple as that. And then you just put them into your speech. For the Garden and Park, again, basically, for most of these places, act like you know the place. Act like you know everywhere of the place, and you know what's the best place to go to. You're like you know everywhere. You already know. You're good. So yeah, and then you tell them, oh, you enjoy the place, and just tell them how it's important. And yeah, um, so here are again, just yeah, just give them why you enjoy and how it's important. Yeah, it's a simple way. Just describe why you enjoy it. So, for example, if you went to Da Nang, why did you enjoy going to Da Nang? Or maybe why did you enjoy living in Da Nang? And how? Or if it's like a home or something, you can say, how is this home important to you? So how is your house or this garden or this park or whatever they're gonna ask that's personal to you important to you? So yeah, try describing that for the final part. Yeah. Now the final set of words here. Now, what would you do in the final set of words? Well, there are two options here, as normal. The first option is you talk about the future. If you went there or you're living there, tell them that, oh, I want to go back home. I want to go back there. Or say that I want to still live here. If you haven't went there yet, say that you want to go there right now if you want. If you and but you just don't have the money or something. Say something like that, and yeah, you'd be set for the ending. Um, yeah, that is. And finally, the sixth type of part two is describe your favorite, and I'm pretty sure is the last one. Now, unlike the others, where I only have to explain a bit, I will have to be explaining a lot because there are actually six different kinds of ways that you would do this part. Sorry. Yeah. There were six different ways you could actually describe this. Actually, no, actually, my bad. They read it wrong. Uh, we actually have 8 ways. So yeah, we have 8 ways. So let's go through all 8. It's your favorite. So let's start with your favorite book, your favorite film or movie, your favorite website, your favorite, your educational television program, your favorite educational television program. I don't know why they added that. That one shouldn't count. Describe your favorite photograph, your favorite food, your favorite restaurant, and your favorite season. Um, Now the issue with part 6 is that the thing is we don't the thing is there isn't an actual exact format that you can answer this due to how various it is. However, there is like a common theme that goes through all of them, so you should still be able to answer these properly even without my help. So let's go. Um, So, for your favorite book, you need to you should try to rely on again the thing that you gave. Now to introduce the book, tell them what the book is, and then tell them the actor, and then the type of book, and then you need to tell them how you knew this book, and you need to describe like who or where or what. Maybe it's on YouTube. Maybe you found it from a teacher. And what's your feeling when you read it? That's a pretty good one too. Like, what is the first time that you read it? If you like that book so much, you maybe have read it more than once. And then you definitely need to know the book if it's your favorite book. You need to describe the book. Tell them, oh, what's the book about? After that, you just tell them why you like the book. So, for example, for example, you need to give a first reason. So, in this case, the Diary of a Wimpy Kid, it says it gives the reader a genuine relationship in Greg and Rowley, which are the two main characters, I believe. And then explain why. Maybe give some examples in the book. Even if they don't understand it, it shows them that you have read the book and you have experience from reading it. Maybe you tell them the second reason. Allow me. Maybe again, these are some ideas that you could use to maybe give a better speech. And I'm gonna add some like few words that you could probably add to elaborate more. So let's say the second, which is allow me to let my hair down after a stressful day at work. So this one, just say that that's this book is really comedic and funny. So you found it really a really good way to go back to you go and find it really chill to read. So yeah, if it's pretty hilarious, then it's pretty funny, and if it's most of the time, and if it's pretty funny, then it's probably a good way to relax. That's the type of thinking you can see here. The third reason, it helps you to learn English. Um, Helping you to learn English is probably a really good one, especially if you learn English from books, which is like probably most of you guys here. Tell them that some of these books tell you how to use English in a formal context, in a real world context, whatever context. Just tell them that you learn English from a book if the book's in English. If it's in Vietnamese, tough luck. You need to find another one. Sadly, you can't say that you learned Vietnamese out of it unless you're a foreigner or if it's in another language. Actually, you could say that too because you're not from that other language. So yeah, and then finally, of course, tell them that it is a must read. Tell them that you should read it. Basically act like you're pitching the book to them. You're the author. You're pitching it. Okay. So after like the writer, just try to pitch it, and you should do decently well. But not like an actual pitch. But yeah, you get what I mean. Now, um, now you need to introduce the movie. Uh, so yeah, for a film, it's pretty simple again. You would need to say what type of film it is. Um, and in this case, it's some movie that's in Korea that was produced 4 years ago. And then you need to tell them, oh, where did you learn this film from, and where did you watch it? Again, think, try to think. With these types of questions in part two, the best way that you can learn is to imagine it and to remember the last time that you have any correlation with it. So you would say, oh, you came across this film maybe from a friend, or you found it on social media, or something like that, or you found it on an advertisement, even though that's kind of rare. Yeah, and then yeah, oh, you found it interesting. Try to make it like a story. You said, oh, I found it interesting, and it got into your mind every single time. And then eventually you ask some of your friends, oh, let's go and watch with this movie together. And then yeah, you started watching it. Uh, then you would describe the film this time. You describe the film a bit later than the others because it's pretty specific. So the first thing is you need to just show them the movie, and you need to tell them what happens in the movie. So in this case, the movie is something about some alien that landed on Earth. Again, this depends on each movie, so try to remember the main plot of the movie. Yeah, a good example I could. No, never mind. I wouldn't say that was a good example I was thinking of. But yeah, just try to think of the plot of the movie and explain it in the simplest way so that so that the examiner can understand. And then you should try to say the best scene. Each movie has a really good scene of its own. Even the worst movies should have a really impressionable scene. Because every movie tries to be impressionable so that you can go tell it to other people. So yeah, if the movie doesn't have a impressionable scene, maybe it's not your favorite movie. Because every movie must have one of these scenes. So in this case, for this You Who Came from the Stars movie, it came from the fact that two actors tried to tie the knot, even though they kind of don't like each other. Maybe I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So yeah, try to describe it in a simple way. Try to make the examiner understand it. Try to make somebody who has no idea what it is understand the general plot. Even if you're a big fan of it, try to keep it simple and don't overcomplicate it. The examiners won't understand. Now, now, why would you like the film? There's many reasons. One of these, good acting is a good one. You could also say the quality of the film, or maybe the fact that it doesn't have any quality, or the fact that it has a good vibe to it, or the fact that the actors are pretty for some reason, because that's what they wrote, I guess. But yeah, everything that you can find that you like about the movie, you could probably write it under here. Now, now you need to end with some pretty good like expectation for the future. So in this case, if the film isn't on movie theaters yet, wish it's on movie theaters. If it's already been on movie theaters, say that you want to see it again. You want to see it on movie theaters again. Some really good movies actually have been reran multiple times. Interstellar has been reran pretty recently, actually. 2020 something, I don't know. But even though it was made in like 2014 or 2007. So yeah, make some optimistic futures. Let the examiner know that you're a big fan of the movie. They don't know the movie, but they need to know that you're a big fan. Now, let's talk about your favorite food. Okay, so what would you talk about in your favorite food? First of all, what the food is, of course. So, well, this person's favorite food is football. And we need to elaborate upon that. What is football? Football is like a really delicious delicacy in Vietnam. We all know that. So if you tell them your favorite food, try to give some context back to it. So for example, if your favorite food is a hamburger, say that it's one of the most famous delicacies in the world that was generally known to be made in the United States, even though I believe it's not. Anyways, something like that. And then you need to find the first time you ate it. Your favorite food will not be the porridge that you ate at 2 years old. So, of course, you need to tell them what was your favorite food and who cooked it for you. So, the first time you ate it, for example, you could say, I went on a family trip, or I went to school with my dad, and then you said that, oh, there was a Vietnamese restaurant. Now, after that, to tell them how you made it, how one would make this. Sometimes you would probably not exactly know what it's made of. And yeah, making is probably a bit hard, so you do need to try and like probably have a tiny idea of how it's made. Like for example, for football, you would probably say you put the noodles and then and you need to cook with the broth. After that, you need to place the noodles and then the beef and all the ingredients in. After that, you would pour the broth so the broth would cook the meat because the broth is extremely hot, being able to cook the meat. And then after that, when the broth cools down, you and while the broth is still half hot, you would eat and devour. So yeah, that is a quick way to describe. And then let's continue. Now, why would you like it? You can say that oh, it's really stunning, or oh, it's something well known for Vietnamese cuisine, or it's a good item for a balanced diet. These are okay reasons. I appreciate them. I would personally replace them from a good item for a balanced diet to it tastes good. The reason why is they're asking for your favorite food. Most of the time, the favorite food is going to be about taste. So you need to tell them about the taste. The taste is really important. Okay. And well, yeah, whenever and then you would end with some positive expectations about said food. Maybe you say it would go mainstream and global, and that there will be more restaurants, or that well, you could eat, or that you would tell other people to eat this food. All right, give me a quick second, please. Sorry for that, my bad. Anyways, let's continue. All right. I think this is gonna be the final one. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's the final one. So, your favorite season. Now, what would you say your favorite season? First of all, tell them what the weather is like. So, for example, if Vietnam, we have four main seasons, I guess, and you say, oh, summer's your favorite season. Tell them why it's your favorite season. Tell them the season that you like. You have to introduce what you said first. And then you would describe, oh, what would you do? Oh, you need to describe what summer is. Again, every time you talk something to the examiner, try to act like they know a lot of English, but they just don't have any context of what you're doing. So you're like trying to introduce new ideas to a toddler that has the ability to understand everything, but they just don't know what anything means. So yeah, the weather is quite changeable in the early morning. The weather is sweltering, but in the afternoon, the rain often pours down. That's yeah, a simple description of the Vietnamese summer. Then then you say why it's different. Because again, they don't know what's different from the Vietnamese winter. For some people think that Vietnam has snow in it. So try to give them what's different, okay? So for example, yeah, you need to say that you need to compare to other seasons. So for example, they're comparing to I think the winter, and because the winter usually has more night nighttime, and then yeah, and then you just say why you like it. So yeah, just tell them oh children will have fun for summer vacation, and family members would spend time, even though I'm pretty sure that's not even true. Now you would give well the reason why you like this, why you like the season. Yeah, you could, yeah, that's the next reason is, yeah, tell them that, well, it's a good time to go swimming, and swimming is a good thing for you. They did kind of forget about what activities you usually do, but it's partly answered by the second reason. So yeah, season is pretty limited, and because the issue with the seasons is you only have like four options, and there isn't much to describe because again, even though I did say that you should treat the examiner like you don't know anything, the issue here is that the examiner has a great idea of what summer is, so like it's gonna be a pretty bit annoying if they just they know what it is already, but like they kept get bugged with Oh, it's summer. Summer is that season of the year, etc., etc. So yeah, pretty simple way of answering. Yeah, that's all for today. Tomorrow, I don't know, next week we will be learning about speaking part three. If I'm not sure, it might be next class, might be your last class. Hope you had a good time and see you next class, maybe last one. Bye.
Bye.